one question I do have, and is that particular PowerPoint, is there a way we could have access to that through your website, through the website?
I can email it.
Okay, good. Because again, that's a very, very informative piece. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to make mention and comment on your question about the overall cost, the overall view. And this is a draft report. We haven't had a chance to share it with anyone, but I don't think these findings are all that controversial. What this study has indicated is that if we maintain the same course that we're on the water side for a bit, and I know that hopefully in the next couple of weeks we'll come back and talk more about water. We would be repairing our water mains over a 60-year period. It would cost $325 million. If we up it a bit, unfortunately that's roughly, and it's similar to the pavement management program.
Right.
If we increase our water main replacement spending, as you know, right now we receive approximately $1 million from Mass Water. And that program is about to end in the next 3 or 4 years. Whether they renew that project or not, we don't know. We have $4 million left on that cycle. So right now we're doing about 8,000 linear feet. If we up that to about 12,000 linear feet, we're on a 40-year replacement program. That will cost approximately $3 million a year, and it would cost us $226 million. So from 325 to 226, for 60 years to 40 years, and $100 million savings. The 20-year replacement, so we're doubling the amount of linear feet to 23,980, or roughly 24,000 linear feet. You would have to budget $6 million a year on water main replacement, and that will cost the ratepayers $161 million. So 161 would be the absolute baseline over 20 years, and then 226 is probably the goal that we're looking to continue to explore, come up with various ways to accommodate that. You and I have talked about some private investments, things like that, Mr. Chairman. But the course we're on, that 60-year replacement over water mains, and I don't know if Paul is, did you bring that pipe, Paul? The triangulation pipe?
All right. Oh.
This is tuberculation. Tuberculation found in an unlined water main pipe. This is 4-inch diameter. And this builds up over time. What it does is it restricts flow and pressure, which could affect the pressure in our homes, fire flow pressure, etc. As this builds up, the pipes need to be replaced. This particular pipe was from Williams Road, and the age of the pipe was 1914.
So that's
What street is that from?
From Williams Road.
I thought it was Williams.
Yeah. It sounds like Kane knew it.
But that's a graphic as to how important the infrastructure is. And we have roughly anywhere from $160 million to $320 million worth of that kind of work, replacing that kind of pipe. So we'll get into that more. We'll get into that a bit more, Mr. Chairman, when you ask us to come back and talk about water.
But again, what you're saying, just to be clear, you're saying the further we kick this down the road, the more costly it becomes. Is that a fair assessment? And so if we're talking about capital planning, this, and kind of, we need to be thinking about this infrastructure really as
Well, especially if Mass Water does not renew that program, then we don't have a funding source.
Right.
So we need to develop our own.
Be careful.
For the first time, I mean, since I've been here, and I don't know if I recall voting on water budgets, but As you recall, last year with the approval of the mayor with your support, we incorporated a small water main project in-house, not to match what we do with Mass Water. This past year, we did $2.7 million of water main replacement. So we enhanced our normal linear footage. And we wanted to supplement that with an 1139 component, where the department would take on a project for replacing a water main to be supplemental to what Mass Water resources were allowing us to do. And as we speak, the department is in the process of replacing the water main at the cemetery. And that's a wonderful project for them. And we've increased, when you get the budgets in the next couple of months, we've increased that a bit, so we're incrementally adding more, and we're hoping to do another, an actual road in Quincy next year with in-house. We don't think that there will be any significant engineering costs. We will pick a small street back to dead end street and try and do some of this linear footage, some of the older water mains with in-house.
Well, I look forward to hearing more about that when we, again, try to bring it back soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Commissioner. And thank you for not bringing a section of sewer pipe. Thank you so much. Although Councilor probably, I know, Patty's Day is over. Okay, anyone else wishing to speak? All right, well, we will put that back into committee for this day. Thank you very much. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Number 3 on the agenda, 2016-075, ordinance amending City of Quincy zoning code for affordable housing by removing the provisions of...
Okay, motion waive the reading. Councilor Hamilton.
Yes, thank you. I'd asked this be put on the agenda this evening, although it can't be, I later learned that it can't be acted on because it needs to be re-advertised. And also, I don't believe we've had a public hearing on this. So I'll request that we do both in advance of perhaps the next meeting or wherever it falls in the not too distant future, Madam President. Whether it's the next meeting or perhaps the meeting after that, depending on what the agenda looks like, I'd like it to be on the agenda for a public hearing as well as council action. This is an ordinance proposed by Councilor Finn and I that would amend the zoning code, particularly in the section about affordable housing that exempts the downtown URDP urban development area. And just so by way of a brief background on this particular issue, anyone who's been up here listened to me ad nauseum about the need for workforce housing in the downtown area. If you're going to build it somewhere across the city, it makes the most sense to be in our urban hub with access to public transportation. And again, when we're talking about affordable housing, we're talking about workforce housing as well. This is housing for folks like teachers, firefighters, policemen. This is based on the income levels. This is housing for the middle class. And I think we're at a risk of not having enough of that in the city of Quincy, which to me is a problem. The zoning code, when we recodified the zoning code, which I think was in 2010, it was the first year that Councilor LaForest and I were on the council, and it was a very big undertaking by the Koch administration, which was well overdue, and they stepped up and they did a complete overhaul to update our zoning. One of the things that we debated at that time was whether or not affordable housing, a specific requirement. The requirement's either that you build 10% affordable housing on any project over 10 units, I believe, or you pay into the Affordable Housing Trust Fund so that affordable housing can be replicated elsewhere in the city in a different project. We debated this in the zoning code because in the entire city of Quincy, that rule applies. And we exempted this very small portion of the city downtown And the reason, my recollection, my personal recollection, is that the reason we did that is because at the same time, we were in the process of negotiating an agreement, the LDA, and a development agreement with Streetworks. And Streetworks didn't want to be bound by a specific number of affordable housing. In fact, in the negotiation with the Koch administration, they ended up doing, the end result was that they were going to do more affordable housing in terms of payment into the trust fund than I think what was typical at the time. Maybe that's changed since then, but at the time it was going to be more of a payment than what was normally done. So the reason why we didn't include this in the zoning, or the reason why this exemption for the urban, for the downtown or the urban renewal area exists, is because we wanted to give the administration the flexibility to negotiate with the master developer, Streetworks, on an overarching remedy to affordable housing in the downtown. Well, obviously, a lot's changed since that time. Now we're in a place where we're the master developer as the city. The city's the master developer. There have been 5 projects presented, 3 approved, 1 seeking approval, and a 5th yet to be approved projects downtown. 5 projects downtown thus far, and not a single unit of affordable housing, and not a single dollar put into the Affordable Housing Trust Fund to replicate that much-needed housing anywhere else in the city. To me, that is 1 project, it's 5 projects too many, but the last one, to me, is the last straw, so to speak. We've been told, well, this is, in the first 2 projects, east of Chestnut, west of Chestnut, we were told reasons why it didn't make sense to have affordable housing. We sat, we waited, we noted, this body collectively noted that we still maintain the policy goal that's in the URDP that affordable housing should be made available downtown, and that workforce housing should be created downtown. We waited after project 1, project 2, we waited after project 3, project 4 went to pass, and now we're presented with project 5 that's moving forward. Enough is enough in terms of ignoring affordable housing and workforce housing downtown, and that's what this ordinance seeks to change, just to create a level playing field for the downtown area, the same as it is on the streets of South and West Quincy, and Ward 2 and Ward 1, wherever it is, you have to follow this rule. We shouldn't be exempting the downtown. So I look forward to hearing from members of the public. I especially hope that developers come and speak, maybe folks who either are currently developing downtown or are potentially in the future looking to develop downtown. I would like to hear the reasons, perhaps why we shouldn't do this, just as much as I hold the belief that we should. I think a good public hearing is when both sides weigh in and you get to learn something about perhaps the view that you don't yourself hold, and you're able to understand a little bit some of the other arguments. So I look forward to a public hearing on this, and I look forward to a debate on this. I think it's an important issue. You just look to the newspaper any day of the week and you see something in there that speaks to the loss of the middle class, whether it's affordability of housing, whether it's wages not keeping pace with inflation, whether it's jobs in the economy. There's always something in the newspaper every single day about the, quite frankly, the extinction of the middle class. And I think we as elected officials have to do our part to make sure that our city maintains what we know it to be in terms of its neighborhood character, the character of our city. We've always been a blue-collar city with our strength in our neighborhoods. There is I can think of no argument that makes any sense whatsoever that it makes sense to force affordable housing in our residential neighborhoods, but not in our urban center close to mass transit. So, I talked way longer than I hoped to or expected to, but I don't know if my co-sponsor, Councilor Finn, would like to speak on this, but if we could, Madam President, as I asked, schedule a public hearing on this when the agenda makes sense.
Yes, thank you, Council Palmucci. Council Finn.
Thank you, Madam President, and I think it was Churchill who had that comment of saying how he picking up the flag that had fallen upon the field of battle. And I commend my colleague for picking this up once again, because we actually tried in another session to convince our colleagues the critical importance of this. And I think a point that really needs to be stressed is, this is not so much as an amendment as it is a restoration. It's a restoration to going back to the way it was. And I agree with my colleague's characterization of what happened and why it happened, because we did have a master developer, and that master developer entered into a contract that guaranteed a certain amount of resources that would be dedicated to affordable housing. The only thing where I would disagree slightly, and I know he's used this characterization in the past, and I just want to make a little distinction. The city is not a master developer. Being a master developer assumes that you actually have control or interest in those properties and that you are developing those together in some way. A better characterization for the city could be master planner in relation to this. But what makes the restoration of this so critical and so important is it excludes any affordable housing within a given development area. That would even include those parcels who decide to do something with their properties completely and totally separate from anything around a certificate of consistency or choose to do it outside the development. They're just as free as the person who's cooperating with the city in some way to not contribute whatsoever to the whole affordable housing issue. I think the basic fundamental fairness point that Councilor Palmucci makes about, some neighborhoods having it and others isn't is a serious one. But I think another thing that we cannot forget is that the state's affordable housing statute, 40D, is a very delicate balance. And if we're talking about significant numbers of new residential rentals or properties that exist within the city of Quincy, that balance is affected in such a way that frees up developers to come in and do 40B projects, which gives them incredible control, that has incredible impact on our neighborhoods and our communities. So that balance with 40B is absolutely critical and important. I would really look forward to finally having a kind of a public hearing related to this as well. And, to just, again, convey the sense that, again, that Councilor Palmucci, we are not talking about housing projects. We're not talking about the disabled poor. It's important. I dedicate my life to that housing. We're talking about workforce housing. We're talking about school teachers. We're talking about starting out police officers. We're talking about anyone who could potentially qualify for this level of housing. So I really look forward, and I'm hoping you will all remain open to that discussion and hear about the need to return. It's an interesting thing, as I see Mr. Fatsy's, is the Affordable Housing Trust under planning and community development now has really added a level of objectivity in terms of deciding what's required to meet the provisions of our local ordinance. And yet there's always been a level of flexibility that understands that some of these things need to be negotiated and worked through the Affordable Housing Trust. We have no reason to fear restoring that, and again, I look forward to the discussion. And I thank Councilor Palmucci again for bringing it back up again.
Thank you, Councilor Friend. So we will, at the end of this meeting this evening, when we schedule our committee hearings, we'll schedule a public hearing at the next meeting.
Thank you.
Next. Sorry. Okay. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Number 4 on the agenda, 2017-039, ordinance for a smoke-free attic screen.
Move the reading.
Palmucci.
All right, motion to reading. Councilor Palmucci on the motion.
Smoking is bad. Can we refer this to committee?
Certainly.
Yes. All right, we'll refer it to the ordinance, joint referrals to ordinance and public safety. Right?
Do we have to advertise that, right? It's an ordinance, we have to advertise it. On a slow night, I'll pull that out of committee and vote on it. I don't anticipate having any. Do we need to do a public hearing of it at some point? Yeah, I can't imagine anyone's going to weigh in publicly. One way or the other. Right, but we certainly afford people the opportunity, if they'd like to be heard on whether or not
Okay.
smoking should be allowed at Amsterdam, but maybe we can put that on another night when we have other public hearings, do like the 5-minute kind of stagger, and if we get advertised, I'll pull it out at some other point. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilor Calhoun. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Number 5, 2017-040, resolve on substance abuse hearings.
Okay, Councilor Devon.
Thank you, Madam President. Along with Mr. Councilor Palmucci, approximately wants to co-sponsor this with me as well. Likes to get his hand in a lot of different things. This resolution actually is substance abuse hearings, specializing in the opioid epidemic. I'm just going to go over some quick points here, just a little bit about it. During my days as a school committee member, I was involved with the Quincy Public Schools in educating our youth with youth seminars at both Quincy and North Quincy High Schools. During these seminars, we had public speaking engagements for former Boston Celtics player Chris Herron, other activists and parents that have lost children to this epidemic. I'd like to bring this resolution to the City Council to help combat this substance abuse opioid epidemic. We need a full-scale, open communication of information from all departments and agencies in this City Council chamber, some public input, public hearings, community activists involved. This epidemic now claims more lives in car accidents nationwide, with more than 50,000 deaths reported throughout the country in 2015 for numbers. The City Council, the City of Quincy created the Mayor's Substance Abuse Task Force in 2008 to address this issue. The work of the task force has been viewed as a national model, including the recommendation that the Quincy Police Department become the first department in the nation to be fully equipped with the anti-overdose medication Narcan. A number of other new prevention, treatment, and enforcement measures have been implemented with the assistance of this task force. Despite this work, substance abuse continues to affect families throughout our city. Therefore, let it be resolved, the City Council hold a series of hearings with members of the Substance Abuse Task Force, the Quincy Police Department, the Quincy Fire Department, Brewster Ambulance on various issues related to the substance abuse to help educate the public, discuss further ideas to stem this epidemic, and recommend additional resources as necessary to end this plague on our community. I would like to, if I could, Madam President, put this in the form of a motion for this resolution to be referred to the Education Committee for future hearings.
Okay, so we will, all right, so we will put it in the education committee. Is there, all those in favor, is there a second? Yep, Councilor Finn, all those in favor?
Aye.
Great. So we'll go there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Next item on the agenda is number 6, 2017-041.
Please save the reading, Madam Clerk, and just acknowledge the gift and a note of gratitude and approval.
All right, motion approved by Councilor Kroll, seconded by Councilor Devon on the motion, Madam Clerk.
Councilor King.
Yes.
Councilor Crowe.
Yes.
Councilor Vaughn.
Yes.
Councilor Finn.
Yes.
Councilor Harris.
Yes.
Councilor LaForest.
Yes.
Councilor Liang.
Yes.
Councilor Calhoun.
Yes.
President Hughes.
Yes.
9 members.
Thank you. All right, and that concludes our listed agenda for this evening. Next, we have the approval of previous meeting minutes. Before you was the March 6th, 2017 minutes. Is there a motion to approve by Councilor LaForest, seconded by Councilor Liang? All those in favor? Aye. Great, the motion passes. Meeting minutes are approved. Communications and reports from the mayor, city officers, other city boards. Madam Clerk.
I do have some new traffic requests, which will be referred to ordinance committee for advertising. Ward 2, Councilor Kroll, add handicap parking to 77 Raycroft Street. Ward 4, Councilor Calmucci, add handicap parking at 56 Hughes Street. Ward 5, Councilor Hughes, remove handicap parking at 129 Beach Street. Ward 6, Councilor Harris, add no parking on both sides of Bay State Road, Quincy Shore Drive, to 100 feet north of Quincy Shore Drive. Remove handicap parking at 33 Cummings Ave. Add no parking on the east side of Main Street from Billings Road to 12 Main Street. And add 10-minute parking on the east end of Hodges Court. Those will all be referred to ordinance committee for advertising.
All right, for ordinance and advertise. Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Unfinished business from the preceding meeting. Reports of committees. Councilor Crowley.
Thank you very much, Madam President. The Finance Committee, Council Order 2016-268, which is an appropriation of $200,000 to sewer department contractual from sewer and drain rehabilitation fund. I believe the Commissioner is going to speak on that. Good evening.
Good evening, yeah, kind of chair for you to, Chairman of the Finance Committee, Councilor Rowe. Good evening.
I don't know if you kind of want to bring the group.
This is a continuation of some of the infrastructure work in the Atlantic, North Quincy area, abutting Teal Field. The contractor in the performance of his duties in that project noticed that this section of Newbury Ave, actually some of the sewer lines were sagging to the point that sewage was being asked to flow in not a downward direction. So the contractor is estimating that the cost before you would be the cost to replace this section of sewer line.
All right, thank you. Councilor Crowley, anything further?
Any questions from the council? Seems pretty straightforward.
Is there a motion to? All right, motion to approve by Councilor Kroll, seconded by Councilor Harris. Oh, you're good. Okay, great. Madam Clerk.
Councilor King.
Yes.
Councilor Kroll.
Yes.
Councilor Vaughn.
Yes.
Councilor Finn.
Yes.
Councilor Harris.
Yes.
Councilor LaFarge.
Yes.
Councilor Liang.
Yes.
Councilor Calmucci.
Yes.
President Hughes.
Yes.
Madam Mayor.
Me.
Also pending in committee, Madam President, is Council Order 2016-269, which is an appropriation of $108,000 to the Water Department contractuals from the Water Enterprise Fund 2016 Commissioner Armand.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Similar to the other item, this is an extension of the work by WES Construction Corp. They replaced the water main partially down Hunt Street. The balance of the work from Hunt to East One at the time was deemed to be too complicated and too expensive. But I believe that water main was about $1893. So at the department's request and to the mayor's, with the mayor's support, we prevailed on the mayor and the contractor to extend that water main replacement from that portion of Hunt through to the East One Street intersection. So that's the cost of the construction.
All right. Motion to approve. Motion to approve by Councilor Harris, seconded by Councilor Devon. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Councilor King.
Yes.
Councilor Kroll.
Yes.
Councilor Vaughn.
Yes.
Councilor Finn.
Yes.
Councilor Harris.
Yes.
Councilor LaFarge.
Yes.
Councilor Liang.
Yes.
Councilor Calmucci.
Yes.
President Hughes.
Yes.
Madam Mayor.
Thank
So,
you.
thank
Thank you,
very much.
Commissioner.
Thank you.
Thank you for all your help tonight. All right. Ordinance Committee, Councilor LaFarge.
Thank you. This evening, we just have one matter in one traffic in Ward 6, Council Order 2017-034. This is to remove no parking sign at 50 Standish Road. I move positive recommendation.
Positive recommendation from Councilor LaForce, seconded by Councilor Harris. On the motion, Madam Clerk?
Council King.
Present.
Council Crowe.
Yes.
Council DeBon.
Yes.
Council Finn.
Yes.
Council Harris.
Yes.
Council LaFarge.
Yes.
Council Leeang.
Yes.
Council Calhoun.
Yes.
President Hughes.
Yes.
8 members.
Great, thank you. Yes, Councilor.
I thought you were going to schedule it.
Oh, no, getting there. Presentation of questions, memorials, or remonstrance. Yes, Councilor Finn.
Through you, Madam President, to Mr. Walker, and I don't expect anything tonight, and I know we have had some conversations, but regarding 2016-201, filing public safety regarding the study, I request, I have yet to hear anything from the fire chief per se, so I would appreciate getting something on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Finn. Anyone, presentation of petitions, memorials, or remonstrance? Councilor Crowe.
Thank you very much, Madam President. It's with deep sadness that our report over the last week or so, the passing of Marie Murphy. Marie is a lifetime Quincy resident, raised 3 daughters, who 2 or 3, I believe, still live in the city. One of which is a friend to many of us. She's married to a friend of many of ours, Michael Norton. So I had the opportunity to go to the service over this past weekend, and just wanted to make a public acknowledgement to continue to keep the Murphy family in our prayers.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilor Crowe. Anyone? Yeah. Oh, no. We're getting there, though.
All right.
We're getting there.
Relax.
Councilor First really wants to schedule this meeting. I know you mean. Councilor Crowe.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to say just a thank you to the inspectional people over at 1000 Southern Artery. Today was the first day the kitchen reopened after 8 months of being down. Along with Councilor Kroll and myself, we pushed a little bit of buttons and we got that thing open. But I was over there yesterday for the pancake breakfast sponsored by the Rotary Club, and there was a lot of smiles in that room, I can tell you, because they were just looking forward to having that kitchen open. So I just want to say thank you to the property management company over there, and the inspection guys over there, because this was a very much needed kitchen that needed to be open. Thank you.
Thank you. This evening, I would like to dedicate this meeting and ask all of you to keep the Cahill family in your prayers. Former counselor and, of course, State Treasurer Tim Cahill's mother, Teresa, passed away at the age of 85 this past Wednesday, surrounded by her family. Teresa was the matriarch of her family. She lived in Quincy for 55 years, and she raised, let's look at this, how many children? Okay, say this again. 9 children. It says here, and her 11 grandchildren and a great-granddaughter. So our thoughts and prayers are certainly with former State Treasurer and Quincy City Councilor Tim Cahill and his wife Tina and their family. Anyone else? Okay. Motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Belmonte.
Thank you, President. I want to make a resolution, perhaps verbally. Let's see how this goes. Couldn't introduce this in advance of the agenda because the information wasn't known, but the CDBG program in the city of Quincy is funded by the federal government, and in the recent budget proposed by the president calls for cutting that funding. It's a program that's existed since 1974, aiding, you name the charity or the organization in Quincy that does something public good, and they're getting some dollars from CDBG. That entire program, my understanding, is proposed to be cut in the president's budget before Congress. What I'd like to do, I mean, I just think in Ward 4, we're talking food pantry, this is housing rehab money, flood proofing, the first-time home buyer program, which we talked about a couple of weeks ago. Councilor DeBona had a resolution about that and making it more available to veterans. That money's gone. There's no, forget about veterans or non-veterans, there's no money that's coming out of it for anybody. That program's dead, as would be scores of other programs. Again, if QCAP and the clients that they serve in so many different aspects of Quincy in different ways, this would be a huge loss to the city of Quincy. We're talking several $1 million in loss that we would be looking at having to come up with. So by way of this being a verbal remonstrance, what I'd like to do is simply ask that at some near future meeting, we have the planning director give us an update on CDBG, whether it be the funding relative to the federal government or how they're planning moving forward for the CDBG, because everything goes to the planning department, that federal funding. I'd just like an update from the planning director at a future meeting as to the impacts of a defunding of CDBG that happens in the city.
All right, is that in form of a motion?
Yeah, you sure?
Okay, motion by Councilor Calmucci, seconded by Councilor LaForest. Okay, on the motion, all those,
Okay.
yes, Councilor Flynn.
On the motion, thank you. Again, I think this is an important resolution that Councilor Palmucci is putting forward. I think that as part of that report, it would be interesting to get an update as it relates, again, to our obligation related to the shipyard, because I think we're just coming back at that point. Of course, CDBG is based on formula, which would mean we'd be getting additional resources if the program were even level funded at this point. So I would look forward to such a report. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilor Flynn. Is there, so the motion made and seconded, Madam Clerk, if you call the roll.
Counselor Kane.
Yes.
Counselor Crowe. Counselor DeBona.
Yes.
Counselor Finn.
Yes.
Counselor Harris.
Yes.
Counselor LaFarge.
Yes.
Counselor Liang.
Yes.
Counselor Calmucci.
Yes.
President Hughes.
Yes.
9.
Okay. Now, Councilor Forrest, we can schedule.
I talked with our team preparing the LDA. They tentatively slated for Monday, April 3rd, and I was looking to move that meeting to Wednesday, April 5th. So the LDA, as well as if we could schedule the public hearing for 6:30 on Wednesday, April 5th. So start with the public hearing, follow it up with a continued ordinance committee meeting.
Okay.
Could you repeat the date again?
Yep, so we're going to move it from the April 3rd to host the meeting on April 5th, the Wednesday. I think we've got a pretty stacked council agenda on the 3rd. And we're going to need additional time with the LDA. So we're going to go to the
What do you want, ordinance?
the ordinance committee will meet relative to the pending LDA. 6:30? And a public hearing will be held first at 6:30.
I'd like very much to keep it at the
So I think we're going to have financial matters on the 3rd.
No, I think so. We have one.
Okay.
Yeah.
The request I had was an additional date to the 5th. We could do the 4th, is the 4th? Is the 4th better than the 5th?
got a team meeting that night.
Oh, I don't have it on my calendar yet.
I can't be here that night, but that's probably.
How about the
more
5th?
interesting to have it.
The 5th?
No. I would like to be here for that, and I can't be here for
Okay, we'll hold to the 3rd. We're trying to do it on an off night. Do we want to do 6? 6 is another meeting. Which one?
No, 6 p.m. she's saying.
No, so put 6 p.m. on the 3rd? 6. April 3rd,
April 3rd, 6 p.m.
6 PM, public hearing,
Yeah.
ordinance. Okay. Okay.
Anyone else scheduling? Yes, Council Crowe.
Thank you, Madam President. So, just seemed kind of like a sequence check. I want to put it out to the body. So as you know, last year we had a lot of appropriations, just a lot of stuff going on during the actual budget season. And what I'm trying to do is avoid that as much as possible. So my understanding, Chris Walker, please jump in if I'm miscommunicating this, but April 3rd is going to be a presentation on the $25 million part one in the CIP, right?
Two things, yes, sir.
Okay, so my thought is on April 10th, which I know it's an off-council meeting night, we could look at having a finance committee meeting to talk about, start to begin to work through whatever's presented on April 3rd. And I know we also have pending in committee, although there was some discussion, the streetlights. So we could look at April 10th, and then we have a city council meeting that following Monday, which is, I'm sorry? It's Tuesday. Does it fall on a Tuesday?
Yeah.
Okay, so that following Tuesday, and then basically we could come back that following Monday. So we'll have two opportunities to engage in the, whatever's going to be presented on the 3rd before we get into budget season. Because again, just time check, the budget will be presented that first city council meeting in May. So I just want to give us enough, freedom and flexibility. I know we all, have daytime jobs and families, so the work-life balance. Does that sound amenable to everyone? If I'm asking is more as suggesting, but that's sort of my thought process here. Well, 6 is too early, it seems, right? So 6:30 gives everyone an opportunity to kind of transition from day to hopefully get a bite to eat to come here, so we can shoot for 6:30. That'll be on the 10th. And then your regular city council meeting is what? Madam Clerk, the 18th. So then we'll be back here on the 24th for further deliberation around what will be presented on April 3rd. So the capital improvement plan and the park bond. And then if we need to go over into May, so be it, but, we'll have plenty of time.
Finance committee,
Yes, please.
in Council Calhoun, affordable housing, on the 18th.
What's that?
On the 18th, the public hearing.
No,
Give us enough time to advertise in,
Tuesday?
on Tuesday, the 18th.
Yeah, that's right.
No, it's Wednesday. The affordable housing ordinance? Isn't my committee, I can't be there April 19th.
You're not going to city council.
There is no city council meeting, it's on April 17th.
No, that's the Monday holiday, it's Patriots Day.
Oh, okay. So,
If she can't be there, though, there's no sense in doing it.
no, but the ordinance.
The ordinance committee, well, he's not setting an ordinance committee meeting, he's setting a public hearing.
Got
He's
it,
setting
okay,
a public hearing.
let's do that then.
6:25, perhaps?
Can you do?
I'm sorry, 7:25.
7, yeah, okay.
I'm the king of not wanting to go.
I know you are.
Yeah, I just can't be, I can be there at 7, I just can't be there. Okay. Yeah, we don't have. Okay, I can do that.
All right, anything further? Anything left to schedule? No. All right, at this time, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Yes.
Motion to adjourn.
Council Calhoun, all those in favor? Aye.